In this video, we leave retro computers for a bit and spend some time working on a high-end gaming PC for one of my best buddies. So this guy is studying to get his pilot's license and he wanted to practice everything he's learning on the new and overhyped flight simulator game. So this will be a pretty robust system. Check it out. We're starting this build with the motherboard and we considered a few options for it. The X570 flagship chipset, the second generation B450, or the cheapest of the third gen, the X550. The X550 would have worked for pretty much all the goals here, but the difference in price did not justify getting a lesser robust motherboard and chipset. We settled for the Aorus X570 Elite motherboard from Gigabyte. Being of the latest chipset from AMD, it also means that this will probably last for a while, pushing the next upgrade or system build a few years ahead. Processor wise, we are running a Ryzen 7 3800 XT. We did want to use the XT refresh for its higher clock speed. This will make it good for games that require the speed of fast single cores. It should make the system safe for running games throughout the next few years, as it sports a base clock of 3.9 GHz and an incredible 4.7 GHz boost clock. For storage, we got a 1TB NVMe drive from Western Digital. No need for spinning disks with this budget and purpose. This makes loading of basically anything really snappy, and it should be enough for quite a few games. The motherboard did come with a heatsink that could be attached to the NVMe drive, but for this to be effective, I would need to remove the sticker with the specs. The thing is, the sticker already acts as a heat spreader of sorts, so we won't be using the heatsink as good as it looks. The case is the Cooler Master Masterbox MB530P. It comes with 3 RGB fans in the front and the regular 4 USBs and audio ports on top. So this might be ideal to be set up on the floor instead of on a desk where you would have to reach up to use the ports. An interesting feature of this case is that it has glass panels on both sides for symmetry. On the back cover, it has some cool graphics on the glass, so you have a bit of room to hide your cabling. It also comes with a non-RGB fan on the back, and the cable management cutouts have some nice rubber pads to kind of close part of the space up. Some people will put the memory in at this point before putting the motherboard in, but I rather fasten the motherboard first so the memory doesn't get on my way. Another feature of this case is the metal sheet that hides a bunch of the cables, giving it a cleaner overall look on the backside. This was sort of necessary because of the glass cover. I am a fan of all-in-one water coolers, and this chip does get a bit toasty, so we are going with a Cooler Master 240mm setup with RGB to match the whole theme. Nothing too fancy though. The PSU here is the Corsair CS750. It has the bronze 80 plus certification. It would be nice to get a gold or platinum, but the price difference does not justify the extra energy efficiency. 80 plus bronze means that this PSU has efficiency levels over 80%, and that is good enough. As for the power, 750 watts is about 150 watts more than what you need for this setup, giving it a bit of room to breathe and to get old as efficiency goes down with age. This also means that if my buddy wants to upgrade this with an RTX 3080, he will be able to do it with no need to upgrade the PSU as well as anything else in this system. For memory, we are using two 16GB sticks of 3200 MHz G.Skill Trident Z RGB. I believe that this is the sweet spot for using now and future proofing. These DIMMs easily overclock to what many computer vloggers state is the sweet spot for Ryzen at 3600 MHz, which is double the clock of the Infinity Fabric. Synchronizing memory and Infinity Fabric with a 2:1 ratio does noticeably reduce latency, so we'll definitely be doing that. As for the elephant in the room, people keep saying that we should have waited for the Nvidia 3000 series, and yeah, that would have been nice, but my friend's pilot course was not going to wait for them to become available. The PC parts were chosen and put together a little bit before the release of Nvidia's RTX 3000 series. Having said that, we went with the 2080 Super. The 2080 Super is already a pretty powerful card. We know that Flight Simulator is a demanding game, but that's if you want to run it in the ultra graphics mode. I don't think there will ever be a desire to upgrade this because the extra graphical details you can get with the RTX 3080 will not have a direct influence on the technicalities of learning how to fly an airplane. The 2080 Super will be enough for games for a few more years in 1440p with RTX off. Or maybe recent advances in DLSS will even make the use of RTX possible. I was also asked about the 2080 Ti and why I didn't use it, and the reason for that is that the difference in price from the 2080 Super is not linear as to what you get for your money. We could have maybe got 10% more FPS in Flight Simulator, but it would have cost about 50% more around here, so most of the cash on that would be a waste, and I didn't want to be wasteful with my friend's money. All the initial settings were done in this tiny 8-inch TFT monitor. It's the only HDMI monitor I have in the lab since most of the stuff I do around here is retro, but it worked. Now its real monitor has arrived inside this ridiculous box that takes up most of my workbench. This is the 27-inch 1440p 165Hz IPS Dell gaming monitor. Not much to say about it. Will do the job, great contrast, fast response, everything you need to work and game. If I was to say something about it, it's that it doesn't have internal speakers. System is done and all set up. First thing we ran here was Quake II RTX. Personally, I'm a retro gamer, so this is pretty much the only game that spikes up my interest with ray tracing technology. We ran the time demos twice, once with the memory at the stock settings of 3200 MHz and a second time at 3600 MHz, utilizing the 2:1 ratio with Infinity Fabric. That got our benchmark results from 44.1 to 46.1 frames per second, a bit less than 5% difference. Makes a lot of sense because the bottleneck with ray tracing is a graphics card, while the CPU barely breaks a sweat. Now for the main goal of this project, did we succeed? Well, we all know the 2020 Microsoft Flight Simulator is ridiculously demanding, but the system that we have put together has managed to run the simulator at 40 to 50 FPS in 1440p with ultra settings. And we hope that the software gets better optimization with updates over time. In the end, only one person can attest if we did a good job or not. So hey buddy, how do you like your new computer?